Najaf, Iraq. August 5th, 2004, 4 p.m. First Sergeant Justin LaHue and the 300 men of Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, 4th Marine Regiment are shooting their way onto one of the most ghastly and surreal battlefields in history. The immense 1,000-year-old Shia Muslim cemetery in Najaf, Iraq. It's an eerie place for the Marines. But for the enemy fighters the Marines are chasing, several hundred Shia gunmen commanded by most wanted insurgent leader Muqtada al-Sadr. The cemetery is home, and they've peppered it with hidden fighting positions and weapons stockpiles. The odds are against the Americans, but this is a fight that's been brewing for months, and the Marines are determined to settle it, here and now, once and for all. In the year and a half since the fall of Saddam Hussein, coalition forces have been steadily hunting down and killing or capturing Iraq's most wanted criminals. Now, in the summer of 2004, a name near the top of the most wanted list is that of militant Shia cleric Muqtada al-Sadr. He's a young man, 30 years old, and he's headquartered in the southern Iraqi city of Najaf, 100 miles south of Baghdad.
Sadr is from that area. At the conclusion of fighting against Saddam Hussein, he had taken over the Najaf region and had started what he called his Sadr's army, or the Mahdi militia.
Muqtada Sadr is out to grab political power now that Saddam is out of the picture, and he has no plans to cooperate with coalition forces. The U.S. troops stabilizing Najaf at the moment are the 1,200 men of 1st Battalion, 4th Marines out of Camp Pendleton, California.
Our mission was to go to Najaf, support the Najaf governor, and help build the National Guard unit that was there, the police forces, and to continue the reconstruction project that had been going on since the fall of Saddam.
But Muqtada Sadr's militia continually harasses the local police and makes the Marines' job harder. The militia is made up of some 4,000 disenfranchised young men of the Shia faith, and they take refuge in Najaf's sacred Old City and vast historic cemetery, which surround the Imam Ali Shrine, the most holy site in the Shia religion. Out of respect for Shia culture, coalition forces have agreed not to enter the sacred Old City and cemetery. But Sadr's militiamen are taking advantage of the situation.
They would routinely come out of the cemetery at night and attack the Iraqi main police station, which is located right across the street from the main intersection of the cemetery.
The militiamen then quickly retreat to the sanctuary of the historic graveyard. But this afternoon, after one particularly brutal and sustained attack on police headquarters, the Marines have had enough. When the militiamen retreat into the safety of the cemetery, the Marines follow them. Here's the setup. Some 300 men from Charlie Company and part of Bravo Company, armed with M16s and squad automatic weapons, are chasing some 300 of the militiamen, armed with AK-47 assault rifles and RPGs. It's a haphazard, unruly fight over an incredibly obstructed and massive battleground.
It would fatigue the Marine just by looking at the cemetery, because the sight of the cemetery was endless, and it completely surrounded as far as the eye could see.
The Imam Ali Shrine is on a hill at one end of the burial ground, with clusters of homes and aging public buildings encircling it.
People of the Shia faith come from all over the world to see the shrine, and so they have 1,000 meters of really hotels and universities set up to educate. And that's all on a hill around this shrine that looks down on this huge cemetery.
Many Shia from across the globe wish to be buried here near the shrine, hence the massive cemetery, a virtual city in itself of underground catacombs and crowded above-ground tombs and mausoleums, squeezed together in no particular order.
The only way you can literally move 20 feet is by going over, around, squeezing through these huge mausoleums.
As Marines move in search of the enemy, they try to respect the Muslim grave sites, but making their way through the jumbled environment is difficult and leads to a bizarre incident for First Sergeant LeHue.
I'm kind of hopping on top of the crypt stones, and in the middle of taking cover to none for mortar shots, I happen to jump from one crypt to the top of the other crypt and ended up falling through. I noticed a pretty pungent odor, and I looked over to my right, and there was a woman inside of there. She had been dead for probably a year or so that was inside of there. I kind of try to see the humor in everything, so I just said, "Excuse me, ma'am, sorry about the interruption." Stood up inside of there and brushed myself off and climbed up out of there.
Marines have trouble spotting the insurgents because many are taking cover in the underground catacombs. The Americans attempt to clear them all, but many get overlooked.
The Marines would fight 100 meters. They'd have to clear back 50 meters because the militiamen would pop out of the catacombs.
A 360-degree battlefront soon erupts.
There was no really safe area. It was just where you were right now was the safe area.
The shootout in the Najaf cemetery wears on for 72 hours, with August temperatures climbing above 130 degrees in the heat of the day. Dehydration is a constant threat. But what some consider the most deadly threat of all emerges on day 2. A skilled enemy sniper positioned